right, moving on now. India's industrial output, which is an indicator of economic activity in the country, has slumped to its lowest level in 8 years, with the index of industrial production contracting as much as 4.3% in September. Now, data released by the National Statistical Office showed that the index of industrial production contracted 4.3% in September, the second month of decline after shrinking 1.4% in August. Of course, though this clearly means that economic activity in the country hasn't picked up the way it should have. And remember, this comes on the in the backdrop of the fact that several measures have been put in place by the centre and the Finance Ministry, measures to help boost the economy. But so far, these numbers coming in despite that. In fact, we've got NR Bhanumurthy, economist, who's joining us at this point. Professor, thank you for joining us. Your reaction to these numbers, of course, IIP alone is not a good indicator of the economic activity. But nonetheless, if we look at all the other indicators so far, and this combined with that, it does not paint a good picture.
Well, I think if you look at what we have seen a couple of days back, consumption of the power and all those things, and in addition to that, if you look at the IIP numbers, there certainly seems to be a very deep-rooted slowdown in the industrial activity. And that's a very huge cause for concern. Although the government has taken many measures, it may not be reflecting in the second quarter, but I think it will start showing up from the third quarter onwards. So overall, I think we should expect once the GDP numbers comes out, the second quarter numbers would be very, very disappointing numbers.
Yes, and Professor, you pointed that the measures announced so far, we haven't seen that really translate into a boost for the economy. So do you think it's too early at this point to still determine how much or whether or not these measures are actually impacting? Because if we go back, the first set of measures for the auto industry, which was announced by the government, that's been quite a while, and we should have sort of seen that translate, or at least begin to translate by now.
Yeah, I think if you look at the automobile industries, yes, you've already seen some kind of positive indicators from car sales last month, and also where the Maruti also started showing some kind of positive growth rate, and I think in the month of October. So I think it seems to be showing up at least on the automobile sector. But as I said, we cannot really look at only one policy measure. I think government have taken various measures, including corporate tax cut and all those things. So I think we need to wait for one more quarter to really see that these measures would start showing up. I would be more interested in what's happening in the housing sector and what exactly happened after continuous reduction in the policy interest rates. More than what's happening on the fiscal side. But I think the government also need to do some more, especially, I think, which I have been arguing for quite some time, that fiscal stimulus measures are much more important at this stage. So I think they need to come out with all those further measures to really revive demand in the country.
All right, Professor, thank you so much for joining us with your quick take on these numbers.